My thesis is this: Myanmar is a good place for entrepreneurs, as there are a lot of inefficiency in the system and there are many pain points for businesses and consumers which you can develop into a viable product or services. So if you are daring and you can take timely action, you will find a lot of opportunities in Myanmar. Let's look at what are the opportunities that you can find in Myanmar. Poor infrastructure. Construction and building are growth sector. Materials such as steel and cement that are essential to the building sector are also growth business. Poor telecom infrastructure. Sales of telecom equipment and handset are growth business. Dysfunctional banking system. Financial service consultancy and training are growth sector. Sales of banking equipment such as ATM are booming. Lack skilled workforce. Educational and vocational training business are growth sector. Poor internet speed. Web programmers are out of practice in Myanmar. Web design and online room ticket booking and payment system for tourism related business are booming. So as an entrepreneur, there are so many areas that you can focus on. You guys are the best and the brightest of your cohort. I'm sure you can come up with products or services that can meet the needs of businesses and consumer in the new Myanmar. You can build a lot of successful and profitable business around these opportunities, and at the same time, you're employing people, paying them a good salary, training them, paying your taxes, and you're contributing to the development of Myanmar in a positive way. If you are going to set up a business in Myanmar after today's presentation, I beseech you to always look for opportunity to contribute to Myanmar in a positive and responsible way. Now, Myanmar is an emerging market. To be successful in Myanmar, you need to come in with the right frame of mind if you want to be successful. Let's look at some comment from befuddled executives. It's a very cowboy town, said a property executive. We can't move into a space where someone is cooking nasi goreng on the sidewalk all night, said an executive from an MNC. Nasi goreng is Indonesian for fried rice. Myanmar lacks skilled workforce, said a manufacturing manager. Businessmen that have been doing business in China for the last 15 years seems to think that the conditions in Myanmar are normal. Why? Because Myanmar is an emerging market and they expect to find poor infrastructure, unskilled worker, unclear framework, and because of the low wages, some low-level corruption. Most important, they want to move into Myanmar early to get the first mover advantage. For example, the Hong Kong government factory owners formed a consortium to negotiate with the Myanmar government as a group for cheap land and good infrastructure support, and is moving as a group from south of China to Myanmar. Remember, the early bird do catch the worms. Forget about the guy who said that he can't move into the office because somebody's cooking nasi goreng outside. He's an employee, but you are an entrepreneur. You'll bear any temporary discomfort just to get your business off the ground quickly so as to be the first mover and to get the right cost structure. One thing you need to know as an entrepreneur is that emerging markets favor entrepreneurs. Can somebody tell me why? Why? Because the environment is very fluid. It's a bit opaque. It's very hard to understand, and big companies are not comfortable operating in an environment whereby they have to take risks. Most important, big companies suffer from one big disease. You know what that is? Giganitis. What are the symptoms of giganitis? Everyone is an employee. Don't stick your head out. It is too dangerous. Everyone is risk averse. Not on my watch. It is always somebody else's fault. Analysis paralysis. They overanalyze. They must wait for 100% solution before making a move. They must wait for 100% consensus before making a move. Image is more important than effectiveness. They must travel business class and stay in 5-star hotel even when traveling in third world country. That office is not suitable for the image of my company as someone is cooking nasi goreng outside. They must wear suits even in summer when the outside temperature is more than 40 degrees Celsius. Emerging market favors smaller companies that are agile, fast, spot opportunity faster, exploit opportunity faster, and know how to mitigate their risks. These are the characteristics of a successful company in the emerging market. It is very easy to start a 100% foreign-owned limited liability company in Myanmar. To start a foreign-owned LLC in Myanmar, all you need is $50,000. In China, If you are in Qingdao, it is $80,000. In Shanghai, it is $150,000. In India, it is $1 million. In Myanmar, you need only 2 shareholders. Both can be foreign national. You do not need a Myanmar partner to start your business. You need to remit $25,000 upon incorporation and the balance $25,000 5 years later when the business license is due for renewal. That means that if you are cash flow positive from the first year onward, you do not have to call in the other half of the capital until the end of the 4th year. Take note that you can start your business within 1 month from registration. So as an entrepreneur, what are the factors that you need to be aware of if you want to start a business in Myanmar? In Myanmar, the central government in Naypyidaw play a key role in regulating the industries. Certain sectors are reserved for the state, such as telecom, banking, mining, oil and gas. These sectors are called the reserve sectors. If you are a foreign investor, if you want to invest in these sectors, you need to either 1. Approach the state to propose a joint venture, or 2. Bid for a license during an open tender when they want to open up the industry, which is precisely what happened in July this year when they award 2 telecom licenses to Telenor and Ooredoo. The country will pass a new telecom law within the next 2 months. There are 2 forces in play now in the telecom industry. One is the force of regulation, the other is the force of deregulation. Deregulation, they will spin off MPT and Yatanapon. MPT is the current telecom monopoly and regulator. It will be privatized and the regulatory arm hived off as a separate independent telecom regulatory body. Yatanapon, the current internet monopoly, will also get a telecom license. That means that in all, there will be 4 telecom companies in Myanmar. MPT and Yatanapon are looking for new telecom partners and investors as they do not have the money to fight Telenor and Ooredoo, both of which are funded by government from oil-rich country of Norway and Qatar. Regulation. A new independent telecom regulatory body will be set up under the new telecom law that will oversee the new deregulated industry that is created. So the telecom market is getting more and more interesting, and we are seeing the multiply effect as a business consultancy company, as we are seeing supply to Telenor and Ooredoo opening offices in Myanmar and engaging our services. The state government plays an important role in the market as well, as they are responsible for the infrastructure in their own state and they have a say as to the type of industry and factory that open in their territory. The local government is interested in attracting industry that are non-pollutive and do not disrupt the local economy. For example, if you want to open a hypermart in the center of the city in Mandalay, which will put most of the mom and pop shop out of business, you may have a problem getting approval from the local state government. The state government is mainly interested in creating employment and expanding their state revenue and tax base. In certain industries, such as the restricted industry, it is mandatory to partner a local Myanmar person or company. Example of restricted industry are manufacturing and marketing of consumer food and alcoholic beverages for the domestic market, opening a real estate agency, opening a travel agency. Unless otherwise stated, foreign investors can hold up to 80% share in a JV company in Myanmar. What is the role of the Myanmar JV partner? The Myanmar partner should provide land, local knowledge, service or distribution to the JV company. Asking your Myanmar friend to recommend a JV partner give mixed result. Unless your friends are from the industry that you are interested to invest in, most likely they will recommend their relative and friends to you. Most Myanmar people run businesses that are not registered with the company registration office. As Myanmar is a cash-based society, most people operate unregistered business on a cash basis so as to avoid paying tax. Most foreigners who are new to Myanmar always assume that just because someone has a name card with a company name, email address and a mobile number, it is a registered company. 90% of the time it is not, and the only thing real is the name card. In starting a business in Myanmar, hiring the right staff will be key. It is important when you hire people to ensure that there's a fit between the value of the staff and the culture of your company. Many workers have just moved from small towns to Yangon and are neither sophisticated nor worldly wise, and they do not know what is quality work or good standard of work and what is important to you and your customer. As we have shown in the earlier chart, 90% of Myanmar people live in small towns and villages. People are still very conservative and traditional, very hierarchical. Respect your elders, defer to your seniors. Junior staff will not challenge senior staff. even if they are asked to do something that is wrong for the company. Pace of life is slower. People are less time conscious. It is quite common for you to have an appointment with your plumber and you tell him, come in on Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. he does not turn up. 11 a.m. he still does not turn up, and when you call him, he said that something else turned up and he cannot come for the appointment. In Myanmar, finding staff that share your company's value is a challenge. A lot of effort has to be placed in recruiting the right people and training them if you want to succeed in Myanmar. Myanmar people value education, but the education system has been broken for some time now. A lot of effort will have to be placed in recruiting and testing the candidate. On-the-job training is important. Providing a progression of job titles and pay increase as the candidate learn and grow on the job is important. Paying market competitive salary is also important. In our experience, most foreign companies end up paying twice as much for property rental or salary as their local competitors. If your local competitor pays $200 for a staff and you're paying $400, chances are you will not be making any money. Same thing for renter. Must you be in downtown CBD area? Aim to be cash flow positive within the first year. If you are cash flow positive from the first year, you do not have to call in the balance of the paid up capital till the end of the fourth year when your business license is due for renewal. Myanmar is a cash-based society. As the banking system is dysfunctional, people prefer to hold cash instead of putting it into the bank. Due to bank failures in the past and depositors lost their money, Myanmar people have low trust in financial institutions. People hold their non-cash asset in the form of gold or land. Staff expect their boss to pay salary in cash. When you rent a property, you need to pay 1 year of rental in advance. So let's say if you rent a grade A office for like 10,000 US a month, you have to pay 120,000 US dollar in advance. When you buy a car or a house, you pay full amount in cash as well. On payday, you'll be flush with cash as an employer, so you need to learn how to use a safe. Due to the lack of interest from international community in Myanmar for the last 20 years, there's been little to no investment in modern infrastructure and office buildings. As a result, there's a lack of rentable grade office space and residential housing in Yangon. Due to the poor transportation infrastructure in Yangon, the price difference between a property in good location versus property in bad location, even in the same township, can be very extreme. If you want to start a business in Myanmar, you need to have a strategy on how you are going to get the property you need for your business. In Myanmar, all land are owned by the state. Only Myanmar people can acquire the right to use the land. Even if the Myanmar person say that they own the land, what they meant is that they have acquired the right to use the land from the government. As a foreigner, you can get long-term lease of 50 to 70 years if you invest under the Foreign Investment Law. If you register a company purely under the Myanmar Companies Act, that is, you are not under the FIL scheme, you can lease only from a year-to-year basis. It is illegal for foreigners to buy land by Myanmar nominees. In the event of a dispute, your right will not be recognized by the court. For industry where location is important, such as hotel or retail, getting a local JV partner that already own the prime land is important. Even as we are talking, Parliament is debating on a new telecom law, company law, trademark law. The legal and regulatory framework are being updated to make it more current and in tune with the modern world. It creates uncertainty as everything is changing at the same time. However, it also creates certainty as the new law will make Myanmar laws more in line with that of Singapore and Hong Kong. A new Hantawadi airport will be built at Bago region in 2018, changing the dynamics of people and cargo flow in the south of Myanmar. For your information, the Yangon City Development Committee just put out a land tender for 36 acres of prime land to be developed into a secondary CBD in Mayonggi Township, south of the existing Yangon airport. This will help to alleviate the space shortage in downtown Yangon when it's ready in the next 3 to 5 years. A very popular question. Many people ask me, should I wait for the result of the 2015 election before deciding to enter the Myanmar market? I say that regardless of which candidate wins the election, I believe the direction of reform will not change. because the Myanmar people will not let them. The Myanmar people have tasted the fruit of reform and democracy, and they are benefiting from an open market and a new job created by the foreign investment. They will not go back to being a military-run country. Secondly, Aung San Suu Kyi and Sri Man are reformists. It does not matter who wins the election. After 2015 election, chances are there will be no place for new entrants in Yangon division, as Yangon is quite small, like 50 kilometers by 30 kilometers in length and width. If you are coming in after the 2015 election, you should go straight to Pago division, where they are building the new Hantawadi airport in 2018. As a whole new industrial zone and city will grow around it, it will change the dynamic of people and cargo flow in the south of Myanmar. Myanmar is not for the faint-hearted. There are a lot of opportunities. There are also a lot of risks as well. You are able to control your risks by controlling the amount of capital that you put into the business, building a strong local team, and being hands-on and on the ground. As an entrepreneur, having the first mover advantage is important. There's no straight path for entrepreneurialism in Myanmar. You have an idea of the direction that you want to go. Each day, you look at the road ahead of you and you adjust your plan based on the terrain and the feedback that you're getting for the last 2-3 days. I use the immortal word of Deng Xiaoping when he was asked in the 1980s about how the reform process in China would progress. He said, "It is like crossing the river while feeling the stone. 摸着石头过河," meaning that it's like crossing a fast-flowing river. He knows the direction that China need to go. It will be risky. However, we need to stay grounded, keep our balance, and advance one step at a time and feel our way through till we reach the other side. Crossing the river while feeling the stone. It is true of reforming a big country. It is also true of entrepreneurialism in the new Myanmar. At Consult Myanmar, our customers are foreign investors that want to start a business in Myanmar. We provide the following services: market entry strategy, incorporation service, and immigration matters. These pictures were taken during the 2-hour discussion with the student. It was a small, closed group discussion where the students were allowed to jump in at any time during the presentation to ask questions. Hello, I'm Andrew Tan. I'm an alumnus of NUS. I'm also the founder and managing director of Consult Myanmar Company Limited. We are the only Singapore consultancy that's operating in Yangon at the moment. So we are the pioneer and the first. It's my honor to welcome the 23 members of the NUS MBA group to our office in Yangon. I believe we are the first stop in your 5-day journey through Myanmar. Now, looking back, I was wondering how I ended up talking to a group of MBA students in my office. It all started with an unsolicited email from nowhere. This chap, Aldin Appeting, sent an unsolicited email to me. Firstly, I don't know who this guy is. Secondly, he has a name that I can't pronounce. Aldin Appeting. Normally, I would have consigned the email to the spam folder straight away. But he said that he was from NUS, my alma mater. If he's from NUS, he can't be a bad chap. So I read the first paragraph, and it said, I only need to host 20 students in my office and tell them what I do in Myanmar. 20 students, a piece of cake. I really didn't know what I was getting into, as I thought maybe I would just take some old PowerPoint presentation, merge 2 decks together, take out a few slides, and then I'm ready to present. So I innocently agreed to host the NUS MBA group in my office. However, 1 week before today, I took a closer look at the email again, and in the second paragraph it said, tell your story as a Singaporean, willing to make an impact in Myanmar, and the challenges entrepreneurs face in Myanmar. I say, holy smoke, I've never written on the topic of entrepreneurship in Myanmar before, especially from a Singaporean perspective. This is going to demand a lot of original thoughts and preparations. It normally takes me a week to prepare an original PowerPoint presentation for a conference or seminar, as I need to do the research, find the right pictures, put together an outline, and hopefully come up with something that is insightful and interesting, and this is no difference. So it's going to be a lot of work. Now, what have I committed myself to? Okay, now that we've been introduced and you know how I landed myself into this situation, let's start the presentation. So here is my presentation for the NUS MBA group based on the remit that Mr. Aldin Apetit has set for me. Doing business in Myanmar, what you need to know as an entrepreneur from Singapore. Now, a bit of story about myself. I first came to Myanmar in May 2012 to attend a Burmese friend's wedding. After the wedding, my friend was kind enough to send his assistant, a man who has worked in Singapore before and speaks good English, to accompany me around Myanmar. I get to see the mystical Bagan, where the plain is covered with over 2,000 ancient temples, as well as the beautiful Inde Lake, Mandalay, and the Shan Mountain. I learned that Myanmar is not only rich in nature's beauty, it is also rich in mineral resources such as oil, gas, gold, ruby, sapphire, and jade. And it should have been the richest country in Asia. However, due to economic mismanagement for the last 50 years, it is in fact one of the poorest countries in Asia. I believe that with the right leadership and management, this country can be turned around and can become one of the richest countries in Asia within the next 50 years. When the new foreign investment law was passed in November 2012, I read the content, understood that I can start a 100% foreign-owned company with only $50,000. I came over to Myanmar straight away. I moved to Yangon permanently in January 2013 and I rented this office and started the business. I must state that I'm very impressed by the way President Tenzin has led the country through national reconciliation and reforming the economy. The President has always walked the talk. My presentation will dissect many aspects of Myanmar way of life and way of doing business. It is not meant to be disrespectful. It is meant to be a constructive criticism of how, as a Singaporean who has a vested interest in this country, how I would like to see this country develop and grow. My last slide. Thank you for watching this video. Bye bye.